Welcome to the Love Your Inner Athlete podcast, your go-to source for all things mental fitness and sports. Whether you're an athlete, coach, parent, or professional, you will learn as you join us to dive into inspiring conversations with those who have worked to develop their mental fitness. You will hear from people who've put in the work as either an athlete, coach, parent, or professional. In each episode, we bring you discussions and expert insights on developing resilience, focus, and mindset. Discover the concepts of mental fitness and learn how to use it to create consistent, durable confidence in both sports and life. I'm your host, Hans Schulstead. Let's get started. Welcome to the Inner Athlete podcast, where we talk all things mental fitness. Pleased today to have Karson Kuhlman on the podcast today. Karson is a professional hockey player playing over in Sweden, had some stints in the NHL, scored some big goals in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and we first became acquainted back when I was working. He was at the, what did you say, HP 15s?
Yeah, down in St. Cloud.
Yep. And then happened to run into him when he was playing high school hockey at Cloquet-Esco Carleton, and got to meet with him his team several times there. So welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is going to be awesome. Great to reconnect.
Yeah, thanks for doing it. So tell me, what was it like growing up playing in Cloquet, and what do you remember most about playing high school hockey?
Awesome spot to grow up. So I'm from, we'll call it a suburb of Cloquet, Esco actually. I went to high school there, small town. Our graduating class was, 80 kids. So that was a blast growing up there, and then being able to go play hockey. We didn't have a hockey organization, so we played with Cloquet. So it was pretty awesome. I had my Esco friends and the handful of us that played hockey together, and then I'd have all my hockey buddies over in Cloquet. So it was a very sports driven town. So I had a lot of buddies that were athletes and a lot of still friends till this day.
Did you play multiple sports?
I did, yeah. I played a lot of football.
Yeah.
So that kind of started in sixth grade, and then was able to play all the way up till sophomore year when kind of hockey takes over. And then I ran track in the spring. So kind of was busy with everything, but then definitely hockey focused as I got older.
So tell me more about like where you played juniors and what that was like for you.
Yeah, it was a great experience. So I played 3 years at Cloquet. Had some great teams and great teammates. And then my senior year, I moved on and went down to Dubuque, Iowa, where I played for the USHL team there, which was an awesome experience. First time away from home. I was very fortunate. I had a fantastic billet family that I lived with, and we had some really good teams down there. So that was a good learning experience. Had to grow up a lot in a year before heading into college.
What years were you down there?
So that would have been 2013, 14. And then actually after my junior year, I went down and played playoffs down there, and we won the Clark Cup championship. And then I was there by senior year, 13, 14, all season long.
Okay. What was it like playing there?
It was awesome. It was, a far east side of Iowa, kind of a smaller-ish town. But I really had to grow up because I was going into a new high school. Obviously, you have the guys on the team, but you really got to interact with a lot of new people, new experiences, that kind of stuff. So it got me out of my, little northern Minnesota bubble, that's for sure.
Okay. Well, so tell me, who are the biggest influences in your hockey career, Karson?
That's a good question. Parents, for sure. I mean, obviously, with everything they do when you're growing up, you don't really realize it at the time, but as you get older, you realize, wow, they took every weekend in the winter to drive you to a tournament, or they spent a lot of money on your gear and your ice time and all that. So definitely parents were up there. They were kind of first and foremost, I guess. And then growing up, I watched a lot of pros and a lot of UMD games. Those were kind of my two things that I enjoyed watching. I mean, some of my favorite players were, Joe Sakic, Gabrick, when I was a big Wild fan as well. So just watching a lot of different kind of styles of hockey really interested me.
Okay. Well, so I referenced when we first met when you were in high school. So it must have been Bantams in high school. What do you remember most about the meetings we did?
Up in Cloquet there?
Yeah.
That was the first time that I had really experienced anything, you know, outside of physical well-being, on the whole on the mental side of it. It was the first time I'd ever heard. And I think you were ahead of the curve, because now you're starting to see a lot of kids kind of jump into that world, and it become an actual big piece in athletics. So I think from my standpoint, it was always going to the gym and back squat and bench press and run sprints, and that's how you become a hockey player. But that really opened my eyes with how much of the mental side of it was important, and how you really had to take care of it, and how it was like a muscle. You had to train it just like anything else.
Yeah. So how do you see that that's changed, like in even in professional sports in your experience?
Yeah, now you see it. I mean, you see it everywhere. Every team at the highest level has, somebody coming in to speaking to guys, or at least an option for guys to have if they need help, or if they want to continue growing that side of their game. Now, I don't think they don't push it on anybody, which I think is good, but it's always an option, and it's fantastic to see that even the guys that are at the top of their game are still taking the mental side of the game very seriously.
Okay. So what ultimately led to you choosing UMD?
Yeah, I think it was kind of where I always wanted to go, being 25 minutes away. Going to the deck as a kid and watching UMD games was always one of my favorite things to do. And then obviously they had some great programs, winning it in 2011, having some good teams, a good stretch there. Facilities were fantastic. I knew that we were going to have good teams. I trusted Coach Sandlin and what he could do for my career. So I think it was just a great fit, and it was definitely one of the best decisions I've made in my career so far.
Okay. And how would you say your time there prepared you to play at the next level?
Yeah, it was a blessing. College is definitely a blessing. I would call myself a bit of a late bloomer. I was undersized and didn't have, as much strength as I needed to make the jump to pros. So I needed all 4 of those years to really establish myself and get comfortable, getting stronger, getting faster, and being able to play at a higher level. So I would attribute a lot of that to hard work, but also the 4 years. Sometimes it just takes time, and I needed all that to be ready to play pros.
So were you drafted in the NHL draft?
No, no draft for me. So I was a free agent coming out of college. Yep.
Yeah. So how did you continue your drive to be that good, even though knew or you had the knowledge that you hadn't been drafted yet?
Yeah, it was definitely a blow. I mean, when you're an 18-year-old kid,
Yeah.
and there's a hope of being drafted, and then it doesn't happen. It could go one of two ways, I think. I think for some kids it really kind of knocks them down a peg and hurts their ego, and might distinguish or put out a fire that they have. And then the other way that you could take it was, okay, at 18 I might not be ready to play pros, so let's make sure I am at, 19 or 20, or for me 22. So I think it kind of lit a fire more than anything for me, which I'm happy that it did. It ended up working out in the end.
Okay. So tell me about that 2018 UMD National Championship team. If I remember correctly, you were a captain,
Yep.
and you guys were, let's see, weren't you playing Notre Dame at the XL Center?
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
it was pretty
that
cool
was the
having.
national championship game, right?
Correct. Yeah, Frozen Four right in St. Paul there was
Yeah,
pretty
and
fortunate.
I seem to remember you had a pretty big role in that game.
Yeah, you know what? We were playing good hockey at the right time. I think we had a young team and lots of ups and downs during the year. So to be able to pull it together for the last, 4 or 5 weeks and win some big games, and obviously make a run at it was pretty amazing, and something that I'm grateful for. But yeah, we played well down the stretch, and were able to find a way to win in St. Paul, which was pretty memorable.
Tell me what you think set that team apart from other teams that you had been on.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I think that team, comparatively to the other teams we had, because we had some fantastic teams the 3 years before. Obviously, we lost in the national championship the year before, so that really showed a lot of us what it took to win, I think, more than anything. But just the ups and downs through the year, we really bonded as a group and stuck together, because there were some pretty low moments. I think we were in second to last in the conference at Christmas time. So it was a big 180, and we really stuck together, and that was huge for our group.
So what was it like to be a leader on that team? And how did you
It
pull the guys together like that?
Yeah, it was testing for sure. Obviously, I would have liked it to be just a smooth sailing year and you're winning 90% of the games and you coast into a national championship, but that's not the way that it happened for that group. And I'm proud of almost how much I had to be a leader at certain times, but how much I didn't have to say in the room because we had so many great leaders on that team, guys pulling together and everybody wanted to win, and we knew we had a good team. So it was awesome to see throughout the year how much we kind of came together.
Okay. Well, and what was it like? What would you say like your favorite is that your favorite memory from your time at UMD winning that championship?
Yeah, I think so. Anytime you win a championship, it's going to kind of top everything else. But yeah, winning that one in 2018 is pretty special.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me, like, so how long after you leave UMD are you playing in the NHL?
So it took that whole next year. I went to signed with Boston and then went to AHL in Providence, Rhode Island. Played there all the way till February. So I got my first call up in February. So that's 5, 6 months into the season, and took some learning curve as well. I mean, the pro game is obviously different than college, so that took the time that it needed for me to be ready to make the jump up, and got an opportunity and had some good games, had some bad games, and kind of rode the ups and downs of learning how to be a pro for that first year for sure.
How did you rebound from those bad games?
It took some time. I wanted to be in the NHL so badly that every time you do get sent down, it really does. It messes with you mentally. The doubt kind of starts creeping in. So it's just important to know that before it gets too far, that it's something that you really got to stay on top of, and just keep going to the rink every day and working.
Do you think, maybe not for you, but other people, do you think sometimes success like is just as hard to recover from as, you know, uh, a less than great game?
Yeah, that's a good way of putting that. I agree with that.
Yeah, say more about that.
Yeah, I think when you do reach that goal, I played a game in the NHL. It's important to keep the same hunger that you did before that. And I see it happen to some guys, where they get content with where they're at, and their games start to slip, or they don't put as much time and effort into the craft as they did before. So it's important. Even when you have that success, you gotta stay where you are, or honestly raise your level. It's important.
So was it 2019 that you played in the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, the
Yeah.
18-19 season. So that
And you
was the
scored a
following
big
year.
goal in the Stanley Cup finals, correct?
In the finals, yeah, it was kind of interesting how it worked out. I had been on the roster. I had a handful of games early on in playoffs, and then when our team was a little hurt, I got thrust in there, and then I sat for a series and a half. So I think it ended up being 3.5 weeks without playing, and then in game 5, another winger had broke his hand, so I got thrust back in there for game 6, and yeah, I was lucky enough to kind of take advantage of the opportunity. Obviously, that series didn't end up with us winning, and that one still stings for that'll probably sting forever. But yeah, I was pretty proud of staying ready and mentally still being able to perform after sitting out for so long.
Yeah. How did you stay sharp?
I made a conscious effort every single day to act like I was going to be in the lineup the next night, and it wasn't easy. I mean, it could have slacked off, but I was pretty fortunate. There was 2 or 3 other guys who were in the same position, and we all kind of made the decision to, all right, we might never be back in this position. Let's treat this how we should, and be ready to go if we have to go in, because it's the playoffs. There's a lot of injuries, and we knew that any time we could go in. So I'm glad that we did.
So you made a lot of intentional decisions during that time to not like slack off.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was a full 3.5 weeks without playing a game, and just practicing, just trying to stay sharp, and being all mentally and physically prepared as you can be.
Yeah, that I could see where that would be really challenging, especially when the team is winning and grooving and wanting to be a
Definitely.
part of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. So what do you think you've learned playing against the best players in the world,
Oh, that is a
or
good question. What's that?
with the best players in the
With the
world?
best players, yeah. You see how hard it is to be those guys. Obviously, they are physically gifted and skillful and naturally have that hockey ability, but also the best guys there, also the hardest workers too. So guys like Bergeron and Marchand, who I think are two of the best forwards that I played with, and obviously that have played in Boston's organization. They were the two hardest working guys at the rink. And when your two best players are the two hardest working guys, it's pretty easy for everybody else to follow that lead.
Okay. So what do you think the best advice is you've ever gotten from a player, coach, family, friend about your life or your career?
Wow, that is a good question. I I like the advice of, it's going to sound a little goofy, but everything matters, but you can't treat everything like it matters. So this was a long time ago, where little decisions you make throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month, they all add up and they all matter. But if you take everything so seriously and act like everything matters so much, it's going to wear you out as well. And that's kind of how I look at things. As long as you get in that good routine and put things in priority where they need to go, then it's okay to, take a breath every once in a while and not treat everything like it's the end of the world.
That is actually really good advice because I think that is a hook for a lot of people. And I can think of players that I've had where like we've designed goals or like daily routines, and they're so rigid about those daily routines that if they're off at all, it becomes like a crisis and you can't let it
Yeah.
be that way. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and especially like, I mean, you see it with athletes. We're generally the most structured people, we have our routines and we have the things the way we like it. And if something gets thrown off, you can't let it affect you. And that, it took me a long time for that too. I mean, I was very rigid for a long time, and easing off of that has been a blessing for me.
Well, I call that the mini donut rule. The first five mini donuts are great, the last five suck. And it's
Yeah.
diminishing returns with all the things that you do, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a hard line to navigate because you
Yeah.
don't want to feel like you haven't you're not turned over every stone to get where you want to go, but like that could be exhausting as well. So
Definitely. Yeah, I like
yeah,
that. The mini donut rule. That's pretty good too.
yeah. Well, and mini donut, like first five are great. The last
Yep.
five are terrible because you feel sick.
Yep.
Yeah. So, what's a particular habit or routine that has kept you confident and consistent?
That is a good question. Working out and training is a big habit, and I think that's one that also goes for my mental well-being. If I don't get a sweat in, for a day or two in a row, yeah, I can feel myself becoming a little lethargic and not as much pep in my step, a little tougher waking up in the morning. So I got to say that first and foremost, it's training and getting a sweat for me. That probably keeps my motor running the best it can.
Okay. So, you go, did you play in game seven of the Stanley Cup Finals?
I did. Yeah, we were back in Boston for it.
Okay. So, you play in that game, you play in two national championship games. Tell the people that are listening how you prepared and if you did anything that was substantially different.
Yeah, I tried not to. I tried to continue the routine and superstitions, part of the routine, I think, that I did to get me to that point. I did the similar warm up. I ate the similar things. I didn't do anything out of the ordinary just because it was the biggest game of that season or career or whatever it might be. So I really tried to talk myself down, that it was just another hockey game. It's okay to feel excited, nervous, whatever it might be, as long as you use that the right way. So I really tried to keep it as normal as I could.
So, when the games start, does that tend to go away?
It does, yeah. Everything leading up to it is hectic, and you definitely feel that. But at the end of the day, I thought, truthfully, maybe the first national championship, I got a little swept up in not being so present. But after that has been really good. The senior year of college national championship and in game 7 as well. I found myself once the puck dropped, I was pretty present with it.
Well, and I felt like in 17, if that game had gone another 5 minutes, you would have tied it.
Yeah, I truly believe it as well.
Yeah. That was, I was at that game and I was at the 2018 and 19 game. So being buddies with CK, makes me a big fan of the Bulldogs. So
Yeah, yeah,
it,
he's a good guy to know, that's for sure.
yeah. Okay. So tell me about a time like you faced adversity and how you handled
Well, I guess going back to those big games, I mean, we lost 2 of the 3 of those. I think looking at the game 7 was demoralizing. Obviously, you don't have to bounce back right away with a game. You kind of get all summer to chew on it, which is a good and a bad thing. But that one definitely, stung for a long time. I didn't really want to get back on the ice for a while. I didn't really want to get back in the gym for a while. So that one took a little bit, but once I got through it, I think it once again kind of fueled the fire a little bit to keep growing my game.
Okay. So how important do you feel like the mental part of the game is? And what's something that you do to work on that?
Yeah, it's huge, especially as you keep climbing the levels, and there's a little bit more stress on you. I mean, now it's my job, it's my livelihood. I feed my family by it, so that pressure just keeps growing. So I think that the mental side of it is important. Things that I do, I'm fortunate enough where I have people in my life who I'm open with, and I can talk to problems, issues, anything that's going on day to day with me, because what I used to do is keep all that stuff close to the chest, not have a ton of people that I would or could talk to. So I think as I've gotten older and I've gotten closer relationships with people, whether it's parents or wife or friends or whoever it might be, just talking about issues that you might have about hockey or stuff outside of the rink is really helpful for myself.
So tell me, like, what do you see as the biggest contrast or benefit from like talking about that stuff? Because I think that's super important, but how do you think that that's changed your performance?
Yeah, it's changed my well-being first and foremost. I don't feel so much weight about, even small issues, day-to-day stuff, that getting that stuff out in the open and talking through it, and maybe I'm overthinking things, helps my well-being. And if I'm happier outside of the rink, I come into the rink with a lot clearer mind and a lot more focus. So I think as long as you can kind of keep your room clean outside of the rink per se, it really does help you on the ice.
Okay. Kind of shifting gears, are there any causes or charitable efforts that are important to you?
Yeah, when I was playing pros over in North America, I come from a military family background. So I whatever team or whatever part of the country I was on, I made a conscious effort to, go volunteer or go meet some military members from local bases, have them out for a game, do whatever I can to kind of help them and meet them. So that's one thing that just growing up with military parents, really, I know how much they go through and what they do. And it's a pretty big sacrifice. So that's always been important for me and my family.
Is there a nonprofit that you donate to or that is like close to your heart that we can share with people?
Yeah, yeah. I guess I've met the Wounded Warriors folks a handful of times just through.
Okay.
They do a lot for hockey specifically, so those folks are awesome. But yeah, I guess just your local base always could need some help or time and energy. So those folks do a lot. So just think about them, and they're always pretty welcoming.
Okay. What's a piece of advice you'd give to young up and coming hockey players about how to get better and get to the next level?
Yeah, that's a good one that always gets brought up. I think nowadays it's easy to get, these kids have so many options and wrapped up and well, my buddy's doing this or my other buddy's doing this, and feeling like you kind of got to chase it a little bit. But I think the best thing for somebody else isn't always the best thing for you. So figure out what you need to do for your game. And at the end of the day, just make sure that you're loving it. Don't feel like you got to be forced to do anything you don't want to do as far as hockey goes. So the love of the game is the kind of base level that you need, and then you can really grow from there. So I think just find what works best for you and stick with that.
So you played a long time. What allows you to keep loving the game?
For me, it's always been there. I've been fortunate. It's always been there. I think the game has done so much for me. I've made, my best friendships, relationships through the game. It's given me so much. So I luckily I haven't had to fight with the love of it too much. I've always kind of found that. Obviously, there's just like any job, there's good days and bad days, but just the continuing to enjoy what you're doing is really important.
Okay, well, great. It's been great having you on. You had a lot of great answers. I really love chatting with you and finding out. I really love everything matters, but not everything matters. Like, I think that's
The mini donut
great,
rule. I
yeah,
enjoy that as well.
yeah, I think that's great because that I find that, I mean, even in my own life and business, that can be a thing too, like where you can
But
get caught up on things that matter or don't, like, yeah, I think that's great. Well, I loved having you on. I love the chat. And what's next? Like, where are you playing this year?
yeah, so I'm in the southwest corner of Sweden, a town called Ängelholm, and the team's called Rogla. It's in the Swedish Hockey League, so the top league in Sweden. We've been over here for 2 weeks now. It's a fantastic area. It's beautiful. We get treated fantastic. It really is. It's a fun experience getting a little bit of travel and still get to play hockey at a super high level. So it's been a lot of fun.
How many years have you been in Sweden?
So this will be my first year here. Yep.
Oh,
So
okay.
this will be a new experience, a new team. Body's feeling great and just ready to get a new season started.
All right. Well, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. It's great catching up with you.
Yeah. Well, and just off the record, I bet this won't be on the podcast. I would bet that you were pretty good friends with Adam Johnson.
Yeah, yep. We had grown up playing together, obviously at UMD, and then we lived together in the summers too. So
Oh, you did?
yeah, so that was a tough passing for sure, but we're still always thinking about him, and obviously not a day goes by that it doesn't cross my mind.
Does they have a foundation for him, don't they?
Yeah, they do up in Hibbing as well. Yep. Yep.
How's his girlfriend doing? Do you know?
Yeah, my wife still keeps in touch with her. I think Ryan is doing as well as you would expect. I think it definitely takes a lot longer for her because she was over in England when it happened as well. So it's always nice seeing her in the summers when we cross paths as well. But yeah, crazy how quickly time goes. That was already 2 seasons ago now.
Yeah, well, and I know I have a sense that she was a really big blessing for him.
Say that one more time, sorry.
I have a sense that that woman was a really big blessing for him.
Yeah, she is. She's pretty amazing and pretty strong to be able to go through it. But yeah, we miss him, man. He was one of a kind.
Yeah,
That's
I
for
know
sure.
he was one of a kind.
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks again and have a good afternoon. And
Yeah.
obviously I'll put that part on the podcast, but
Yeah, I appreciate it. Hopefully you get Suze on here too and you guys can chat a little bit. She's pretty awesome.
yeah, she is. And this will probably I'm reaching the end of the ones that I have in the can. So
Yep.
this one will probably go out this fall.
Oh, perfect.
And then do they have a headshot of you on your Sweden team website?
Yeah, they'll have one just right on there. The team is called Rogle, Rogle. So it'll be right on there.
Okay. All right. And is there anything that we talked about today that you don't want me to you're like, oh, geez, I wish I hadn't said that or that.
No, I think what do you think? I thought that was pretty
Yeah, I thought it was great.
straightforward, steady, yeah.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll rewatch it, cut it and edit it. And if you want, you can see I can have my virtual assistant send you the published version of it if you want to watch it, before it goes out.
Yeah, just to do a check. Yeah, if you don't mind, that would be quick. I'm sure that it's all clear, but yeah, I'll give it a walk through quick and we can go from there.
All right. Well, thanks for doing this and thanks for connecting again. Yeah, and don't hesitate if you need anything.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Same with you. Thanks again.
All right. Thanks, Karson. Bye.
All right. Have a great Sunday.